Our next question is, why do so many Christians seem to be hypocrites? What a great question. And it's right. I mean, it's a correct question. Many times we look at people who proclaim to be Christians and they don't seem to live up to that claim. Does it bother us? Yes. Should it bother us? I think so. To answer the question, I'm going to call on C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis's book, Mere Christianity, takes on the same idea. Just two quotes here from this book. First of all, is that a reasonable expectation? That is, that Christians should avoid hypocrisy. Well, C.S. Lewis says, absolutely. If Christianity makes no improvement in a man's outward actions, if he continues to be just as snobbish, spiteful, envious, or ambitious as he was before, then I think we must suspect that his conversion was largely imaginary. I think we all agree with Lewis. If there's no difference between what a person was before their conversion or their profession of Christianity and how they are now, something's wrong. But what are we expecting in terms of how that Christian is going to be? That's another point. Lewis asked this one. If Christianity is true, then will it follow that any Christian will be nicer than the same person would be if he were not a Christian? Think about that. Is our expectation that any given Christian should at any given moment be kinder, gentler, nicer, more generous than any other person who is not a Christian? Well, but Lewis has one good point. It might be that the Christian Miss Bates may have an unkinder tongue than the non-Christian Dick Firkin. That by itself does not tell us whether Christianity works. The question is what Mrs. Bates' tongue would be like if she were not a Christian, and what Dick's would like if he became one. See, it's the starting point that maybe is often forgotten. Where does this person start from? And what effect has their Christian faith had? Are they perfect? I would say probably not. Who is? The question is, what was before and where are they now? Let me give you a show and tell. Know what this is? It's pretty strange, I know. This is the carburetor for a 1917 Model T Ford. I have a Model T Ford. I built it up from, well, really, a pile of junk. This is a carburetor for that Model T, 1917. It's pretty old. These are the keys for our little 05 Honda Civic. Two very different cars. It's the middle of January right now in Wisconsin, and I took our Model T out last Saturday. It was about 25 degrees, and I hadn't run it in about, 4 or 5 weeks. You have to hand crank a Model T, which is no easy job in the middle of winter. So I hand cranked her a few times, and again, and it finally started. Hurrah! I got it running, I jumped in. Oh, it's a convertible. That means no top. Well, it has a top, but it's folded down. No windows. Well, plain old air. And off we went. Well, it's 25 degrees, and the Model T hasn't run in a while, and I wasn't going to go far. I just drove around town for about 15 minutes, got good and cold, and put it away. But I was happy. As I said, this is the keys from our 05 Civic. It's got 82,000 miles on it. You know what? It has got nothing wrong with it. I'm not a salesman for Honda, but we have fixed absolutely nothing on this car. I haven't even replaced a light bulb on this thing. It just runs. Should I compare these two? Well, they're both cars, yeah, but they're different. I mean, this is the standard of perfection. And I suspect that many times when we talk about hypocrisy in Christians, this is the standard we hold, well, everybody up to, maybe not ourselves, but at least a lot of people. And if we find that they don't somehow match this absolute standard of perfection, if they in any way, at any time, have fallen short, hypocrites, we dismiss them. Really? I'm not so sure we'd do that if we adopted this view. You know, that Model T of mine started on Saturday. I was thrilled to hear it start. I knew it would, but I was still glad it fired up. It only goes about, 25, 30 miles an hour. And in 25 degrees weather, you don't want to go very far anyway. That's all it was supposed to do. I'm not going to drive it to California. I'm not going to even drive it today. It's a little colder. I was just happy it ran. I think most of us are old Model Ts. It's just, well, a miracle we're running. It's a miracle we're moving forward at whatever pace we are in our faith. Are we going as fast as a perfection might call for? No. Are we doing better than we might have if we weren't people moving forward in faith? I would guess we are. If there's no movement whatsoever, if we're going the wrong direction, if we are still untouched, cold, well, that's a problem. But I expect most of us are making our way in a Model T sort of fashion. Could we go faster? Maybe. Should we try our best to do that? I'm all for it. But I think, at least, like Lewis says, we should celebrate the change. And the change is for the better. At least we're moving forward. Something to think about the next time we confront hypocrisy in somebody else, or maybe especially in ourselves.